Can anybody tell me what a rivalrous and a non-rivalrous good is? I'm waiting for your answers. A rivalrous good is a piece of pizza. You eat a piece of pizza, I cannot eat that piece of pizza. Your consumption of that pizza disallows me from consuming it. I can consume another piece of pizza, but I cannot consume the piece of pizza that you ate. That is a rivalrous good. So the consumption of one prevents the consumption by another. A non-rivalrous good is basically the opposite of that. Is someone who consumes something doesn't, prevent another from consuming it. So let's break this down into media. Ideas take the shape in rivalrous goods like books, records, cassette tapes, Blu-rays, DVDs, magazines, etc. These are, when I buy a record, you cannot buy that same record. You can buy a different copy of that record, but my consumption of that specific copy prevents you from consuming that specific copy, right? Now, we can all consume the same copy of a certain album on a digital streaming platform, right? We can all watch the same piece of crap Netflix original movie at the same time. Does that kind of make sense what rivalrous goods are and non-rivalrous goods, right? Something that's typically physical versus something that's typically not physical. Not physical would be a non-rivalrous good. Now, if we think of the nature of ideas themselves, like fire and light, are non-rivalrous. They want to spread, right? Ideas, you consume my fire and light does not mean I don't have fire and light. That is non-rivalrous. Does that kind of make sense, right? That's what I'm trying to say here, right? And I think the fascinating thing when it comes to media and content is that, and ideas just in general is that by nature and sort of their essence, they are non-rivalrous, right? And and that gets back to the meme and the fire and light thing. But we consume intellectual properties both in rivalrous and non-rivalrous goods, right? So we could watch a movie on a Blu-ray, or we could stream it on Netflix or YouTube or whatever. But the essence of ideas and innovation and creativity really is non-rivalrous, right? When you consume someone's good idea, right, it doesn't mean that someone else can't consume it. It doesn't mean that good idea still doesn't exist, if that kind of makes sense. But that's something to think about. Ideas by nature are fire. They're light. They're dank ass memes. They want to spread. We use the laws to grant rights to sort of siphon those things off and to guard them and to protect them and to make those things that are non-rivalrous, rivalrous. It's how we create artificial scarcity, right? But then again, when we think of things like any digital content, streaming, any digital content, MP3s, whatever it is, that's closer to an idea in its form than it is to a thing, if that makes sense. So ideas as non-rivalrous goods, and then streaming and digital content is also non-rivalrous. They're sort of similar in that way. The sort of weird thing is the rivalrous good, the book, the movie, the VHS, the cassette, whatever it is. That's very different, and we only basically, for like the last 100 years, really consumed ideas and things. Like for a long time, ideas weren't produced and made for mass consumption in things. They were made, painting was made, or, whatever. song was performed live in the streets, right? But then in the 20th century, the 1900s, things were made, or ideas were made into things that could only be consumed by one person. And you had to have money to have access to it, and blah, 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 blah. And you had the space to store it, and you had to have the means by which to understand it, and all that stuff. But I really just want to just note and really stress the idea that, ideas are memes, they are fire, they are light, they are non-rivalrous, right? And we're just always trying to contain them. We're always trying to put them into a package and make them exclusive and make them scarce.